Thank you very much, guys. I'm Rynes. I'm solutions architect at Infoblox right now. And yes, as Cosmin have said, I'm not that much of good at marketing. But I just wanted to talk with you about the lovely 40-year protocol of DNS and how this actually can help you with cybersecurity. So obviously, I do like questions, so keep asking because Cosmin have some prizes for you. And let's talk about how this can help you. Because if I'll tell you something like DNS DR, do you know what it is? Detection and response. And with that, that's all the buzzwords. Let's reboot it. Yep. All the buzzwords that you guys do hear about, EDR, endpoint detection and response, NDR, network detection and response, XDR, whatever detection and response. So that's always detection and response. A little bit of traditional approach. I see something bad happening, so I'll respond to that. The car is coming, I'll maybe go out of the road. So the DNS DR is something similar, but obviously observing DNS protocol. And with that, what you actually can see about it. By the way, I was here last year, and I was talking about how threat actors are using DNS protocol. And that was basically even a presentation that shown some examples of attack. And I was focusing on what the attacker actually needs to do in order to be able to attack. Because DNS protocol is a lovely thing. It's usually UDP messages. It can be TCP, obviously, but it's a packet that is query, a packet that is a response. Can we fix that somehow? It's keep happening. So, sorry for that. Okay, it switched to backup. So, what you see right now is Lockheed Martin kill chain. It's actually a result of being victim of a data breach. After this slide, I had one that shown even one kind of attack, but in this version of presentation is missing because I've added it today. But never mind. What is this is what actually the advanced attacker needs to do in order to attack somebody. And when I'm talking advanced attacker, I'm not talking about somebody who found out quite nice ransomware and said, let's spread it out of the world and let's attack whoever. We are talking about somebody who basically said, hey, these guys have some really nice data, and with that, we want that data. So they actually discovered that, hey, we have a target. So first of all, what you want to do and what you need to do, if you want to attack somebody, well, it doesn't matter if you want to attack somebody with a stick or with a packet. You need to learn who is my victim and what the victim is capable of doing. Because only after that, you can actually do something like weaponization to create something that you can deliver. And the delivery phase is the third part. It's like getting some kind of malware. And that's, most of people are thinking, okay, delivery. 90% of attacks are starting with an email. So obviously, email is something that we need to fortify the email. So they do. So we have another DR, email DR, but this stage I simply haven't thought up with this word. But DNS is actually involved in this as well, because whatever email you want to send, hey, guess what? You need to know where the freaking other site is. So with that, that's basically a resolution process that all the DNS resolvers are doing, because if we as people want to go to google.com or infoblox.com, defcamp.ro, or whatever domain name, we actually have to find out where is the other mail, where is the other destination, and with the email it's where is the MX record and where is the mail located. So our PCs are just simply asking, where is it? DNS resolver is the one that is actually getting the answer to you, so finding on the internet. And with that, you can actually even infiltrate data. After all of this is basically make whatever I've delivered run. With what I've delivered is running, I most likely don't want, as an attacker, I don't want that device to be killed off by reboot. Because if I will be only in operation memory of a PC, every single reboot will get rid of me. So I most likely want to install something because I want to be persistent. I want to be again and again and again, whatever reboot. And we are getting to this stage number 6, that's command and control. Because with command and control, it's the most noisy part of the attack, whatever attack. And it's only about how well can you hide the messages. So obviously, command and control you can do on many other protocols. But looking back on the DNS protocol, query, reply. Well, that's actually quite ideal because it's most likely the open protocol in a firewall. And you need to use that because you want to know where some domain is. You want to browse the internet. So not so surprised that in here you can find DNS callbacks, DNS tunneling, and other activities. By the way, if you would like to see it live, how you can actually tunnel DNS protocols stayed by our booth, I can show you live. And obviously with that, the attacker, if he successfully this communication, he can do whatever he likes to do. As I don't have, yeah, okay, thank you very much. So with the traditional threat intelligence, that's actually being involved with that, because if I'm trying to block something and if I would like to do some kind of detection and response, I need to know what I'm detecting and what I'm blocking. So let's have a look at an example of traditional threat intelligence. Let's go to the next slide, please. Or do I have the ability to click already? I have, great. So I have an example of indicator of compromise. And this indicator of compromise is up here. It's some pbxfonetwork.com. And what you can do with DNS, and that's basically getting back to the DNS DR, is that you can see when it was registered. And as well, you can actually even see another point of time, and that's when it firstly used on the internet. But at that point of time, I'm actually talking about this beginning, this was registered a few days after Christmas last year, and actually used on the internet for the first time, because we are actually doing passive DNS detection. That's the passive DNS. It's just observing those DNS queries on the internet, because it's plain text, it's not encrypted. But it actually allows us to know, hey, there is something new on the internet. So with that, you can have these 2 points of time. Then you've got another point of time, and that's when somebody will tell you, hey, that is malicious. I have a proof that behind this domain name, there is some threat. There is some kind of attack, whatever it is. And as you can see, it actually leaves us with like 84 days of gap in this particular example. It's in average some few months that will leave us with the gap. Because the traditional threat intelligence is working like this. On the beginning, I have no idea what it is, so I leave it be. Then it's doing something, and I'm observing. And then it has done something wrong. I've seen that it done something wrong, so let's block it. Bam. So we have this threat, and I will get back to that as well. Because we've, at Infoblox, we've been looking at that and seeing quite a lot of domain names that are being registered for the malicious purpose only. Obviously, as an attacker, you can actually hijack some domain name. But we've developed something that we call suspicious domain names. And what that is. Because if you would like, as an attacker, you would like to attack somebody, send a phishing email, you as well need to start somewhere. As legitimate services on the internet, you actually have to prepare some infrastructure, you have to prepare some domain name, register the domain name, or steal the domain name. And as an attacker, you would not like to shout out to the internet, hey, I'm sitting on this particular IP address, block me. Well, that's not something that you would like to do. So domain names are actually a good thing because it can we will just do something similar. Or do new domain name, you register that, you just simply pay for a few bucks to register domain name, and we just simply wait maybe a bit because if you register it and use it immediately, it will be blocked because it's newly seen domain name. So you can actually do something different. You just simply wait, or maybe start to use the domain name for a legitimate purpose to get good categorization, to age the domain name, and then use it for the attack. Normally, when I'm doing these cyber security trainings of how attackers are using DNS, I'm actually also showing real examples of malware. And most of the advanced attackers, they will wait a month, two, in order to have a good domain name. And that's exactly why we've developed these suspicious domain feeds. With another thing, what the attacker might do is actually try to somehow convince his victim to click some other domain name. That's just simply something similar. And we call it, in cybersecurity, we call it lookalike domain names. And those lookalike domain names, they are nothing else than some kind of string that looks like the real deal. So if you have a domain name and you would like to do another similar domain name, actually I don't have to go far for the examples. As these two ladies look alike, well, they are not the same. And here is an example of ours. One is ours, the other is not. But the users are being told, hey, you should have a look on if there is this nice and freaky green lock, because it's HTTPS or the web pages, right? If the certificate is good. Well, thank you, let's encrypt. The certificate is not that hard to obtain. And then users might just simply have a look and see, hey, is it the same? It looks it. But it's not the same. It's different destination. And actually the first layer that actually can see that it's different is DNS resolver. So if you arm the DNS resolver with ability to differentiate between these, you can actually look for these lookalike domain names. By the way, it's not just one of them. We have full bench of lookalike domain names. Some can be really pretty, as I've shown you, the Infoblox and Infoblox. Some can be a little bit less pretty, like this, like -updater.com. It looks good, right? Would you click it? Is it good or is it bad? You don't know. So with that, that's actually our term to change that and to basically provide you with information. And it's actually back to threat intelligence. Because there are things that you can see on the DNS and passive DNS quite early on. Because if the attacker is preparing his attack, is preparing the infrastructure, he still needs to register. He still needs to prepare that. And this is supposed to be an animation. It's not. Never mind. Actually, I was using that last year. And I was asking audience which of these domain names they would click. Here we have 3 examples of PayPal.com, 3 examples of Google.com, but the real destinations are visible behind them, in the yellow. Why? Because 2 of them are always lookalike domain names. And as you can see, it's really, really hard to say which of them is true, which of them is good. On the PayPal front, obviously you can immediately see that the middle one is something wrong with it, because that company just simply don't have that domain name. There is something wrong with the A, because it's special character. But the attacker will find a way how they will send an email, and an email, it will look like this PayPal. But that PayPal is as well special character. The A is not the Latin A that we want. It's this international domain name that has the special character that you can see of XN --, the word without the special character, and then code of the special character. It's punny code. It's something that was developed because of international domain names. So if I, as an attacker, would like to do lookalike domain name, well, I have plenty of options. Another thing that attackers have discovered and started to deploy for us as people is that you most likely know that, for example, Facebook, when you copy the link on a Facebook, are you copying something long or are you copying something short? Short, right? So what is stopping attackers from doing that? Because another technique that attackers have developed and they started to use is something that is called RDGA. Actually, if you go back a little bit to the history, as we said, DNS is 40-year-old protocol. And back in the day, if you were an attacker and wanted to avoid some kind of reputation-based and category-based detection, the attackers are starting to do something called DGA, domain generation algorithms. And those domain generation algorithms just simply created some meaningless string .tld, top layer domain name, and was generating it in a time, so they knew that their bots will generate that domain name in a week time or tomorrow. And when they wanted to start to do communication, they just simply registered that domain name when they wanted to start the communication. So that was back in the day, because now I would say this is not that often that it will work, because not only us, but many other vendors are doing something that is called new domain name characterization. And what the new domain name characterization is. If it's new, do you want to talk with it? Yes or no? What do you say? Would you talk to totally new domain name that is 2 hours on the internet? No, right? No. So this is actually the thing that was the traditional DGA, because that was like total nonsense, registered and ready to be used. This RDGA is registered domain generation algorithm. What it is the same thing as a Facebook is using for the bit.ly links that you are sending as a shortened URL. So what I'm actually showing you right now is a threat actor. It's called Prolific Puma. And this threat actor have basically said, okay, so let's offer on Darknet some service for the attackers in order not to send their domain names because they want to hide them. They don't want to scream out loud that they are on the internet. And I see a question. Yes? Question? Oh, it was like, okay, it's just ARM, okay. So what we see in here is a threat actor that have generated and registered huge bunch of domain names in a TLD of .us. And that was TLD of choice for this particular attacker, for this particular threat actor. They, the same way they could have chosen the TLD of .fun or .xyz, but they've chosen this one. They were registering their domain name on a registrar called name silo. Again, it was not only one, but it was the one that they've chosen to use. And name silo with .us was actually asking the people who are registering if they are a customer, like commercial, or if they are citizens. And these guys have selected citizens. And if you still select citizens, you need to provide address, valid address in US, so they will know where to go if there will be something wrong with the domain name. Well, that check was actually very well working on registration through the graphical interface on web. But it was not that well working if the attacker started to use API bulk registrations. So what they've done is generated something like this, cx4.us, and register it in bulk registration via API. And what they actually have done is provided an address, but they provided an address that was actually primary school in Poland. Why not, right? And that checks on API call were actually not that well done as on a graphical interface, so the registration went through, and voila, you have a registered domain name. So what they've done is just simply offer that on Darknet. Attacker wanted to send some URL to email, phishing, whatever, to the victim. Because he doesn't want to send his domain name, he asked Prolific Puma to create a shortened URL, and that shortened URL is being delivered to the victim. How much of this might be as shown on the graph? So we are not talking about units of domain names. We are talking about hundreds of domain names. And when do you guess that you can actually see that activity? What is the first thing that you can see, okay, there is something wrong with that 7vj.us/ the middle link? When can you detect that? On endpoint? So when somebody clicks on it, isn't that quite late? It is. So where else you can actually see that there is some new domain name and something new on the internet? By using freaking DNS, because it's designed to do so. So what we have been doing in this, we've been observing those new registrars and registrations, and we actually found out that they are registering something that is some kind of pattern, always the same pattern of domain names. And with that, we can actually see those domain names being registered. When they will be used is a question mark. But this is actually providing us with ability to do something about that. Because on a DNS level, when you are doing passive DNS detection, you can actually see that. And actually with that, we are getting back towards to the topic that I started already and a little bit gone sideways from it. It's suspicious domain names. The new approach that we've actually created. What I mean by the suspicious domain names, I don't mean that those domain names are malicious. I don't say that. Those domain names are just simply suspicious to us. And the suspicious might be API bulk generation, registration of those domain names, or being hosted on a name server that is in the middle of nowhere, although looking like a big company, or seeing bulk registration from being used on autonomous system number where we actually do know that attackers are sitting because, hey, guess what? Attackers are people. And they need to be somewhere. So they are using the same systems to attacking different targets all over the world, aka same autonomous system number. And with that, if I see that there is a bunch of domain names sitting on that autonomous system number name server, authoritative one, hey, I can actually mark them as, hey, these are suspicious to me. Why should I talk to them? And as the picture suggested, we are actually trying to breach, and we are providing something that can help you out with this 84 days of window of impact, because before you will have the proof that there is something malicious, you can block it. So this is the DNS DR. This is the new approach that we've decided to have in order to enable us move across and move past the point that attacker is preparing something, and let's not wait for the email to be delivered to my mailbox, and let's not wait for the click of the user, because that might be too late. So that is a domain lifecycle that I wanted to share with you, that there might be another approach before in front of the traditional approach of threat intelligence, because I don't need to wait for the proof. If it's suspicious for me, it might be a good idea to block it off. One of the local examples that I can share with you is this lovely thing. Sorry, I'm not native Romanian. I'm actually coming from Czech Republic, so I have limited knowledge of what is written on there. But my colleague,
It's free money.
yeah, my colleague Osmin is actually local, so he actually told me, if you invest 1,250 lei, and as a return, you will get, I don't know, 7,750. Well, if that would be that easy, I would be doing it every day. But that's just simply a scam that is lurking money from you. So how we can actually tailor this back towards what I was saying with the suspicious domain names? We can tailor it back to this. It has been created somewhere. It has been detected by someone. This is just saying that it's newly registered. Then we see another date that is sitting on this IP address, then on this IP address. And a little bit later, how much? It's a few days later, we are saying it's newly observed domain name, because we've seen it in our networks, and we've seen it with customer networks, so we see it as a new domain name. But in on this level, we still don't know. It's just simply new. Still not malicious. But a few days after, we actually have seen it being resolved, and we marked it as phishing. Why? Because it was done in a way that attacker just simply prepared his attack and then use it. So this is something that can provide, as a suspicious suite, it can provide you protection up to 4 months. And with that, I believe that my time is up. So, by the way, when it depends in the time, but you can easily check that. If you have some kind of domain name, you can check it on VirusTotal. And I was preparing this presentation, I believe, a month ago. And back in the day, only one was saying, hey, there's something wrong with it. And the company is actually quite old. So with that, thank you very much for all your attention. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. It's a little bit different view on cybersecurity and threat intelligence. And we have a space for questions if you have some.
Yes, we do. Thanks so much, Jan. We're going to take 3 questions. So please keep your hand up. We're going to get to you in a rather not orderly fashion.
So many players right now are using content delivery networks.
A bit louder, please, and if you can stand up so the speaker can see you.
So many actors are using right now content delivery networks instead of using their own hosting for that. And usually they are using their own domain names, using the content delivery network as feature to have a custom domain name. How can you?
I have a hard time to hearing you, but what I caught is if the attacker is, they are not hosting it from their autonomous system numbers and from their networks, they are using some delivery networks. Yes, of course they are. How much it costs you to host your domain name on Cloudflare? Exactly. So if it's free, why would I use that? But why would attacker use his own name server that he is actually having control over?
You are still using your name server, but for a specific subdomain, you allow the domain name services to be managed by Cloudflare.
Of course, yes. But what I mean is that, for example, imagine that you want to do command and control, and you will use your the DNS protocol to send query and reply. Query will be information, hey, what should I do? And reply can be an IP, something that looks like an IP address that will just simply say, hey, sleep. So this command and control is something that you hardly can do on Cloudflare. The reason for that is that you will most likely not have full control over that name server. Yes, you can use the content delivery networks. And yes, the point and the question is very, very valid. It's actually a good question. But attackers are using their own name servers that they actually do run because they can lock everything and they have full control over the name server. If you are doing something like phishing campaign, why would you not use Cloudflare? It's for free, so use it. And by the way, attackers do use that quite often. Another question?
Okay, keep your hands up,
Hello.
those who want to ask
Hello?
questions.
Hello? Can you
Higher,
hear me?
higher.
Right. So, if I understood correctly, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. If I understood correctly, you will fill up the gap from the time that a domain is registered up until the moment that it's actually first used for malicious purposes.
Okay, basically yes. But
Okay,
the first use of malicious, it basically, when you have a proof, it can be used for a malicious purpose from the very beginning. But you are looking for the proof, yes, that is malicious behavior, and that's typical threat intelligence, that's traditional threat intelligence. I have a proof, that is a malware, that is a ransomware, I will block it. Yes.
All right. My question would be, so how do you actually monitor the fact that a new domain has been registered up if it's not queried? So do you have sensors? Do you query the register periodically? How do you do it? Because it means that you randomly search for things looking for something new, because I can register whatever.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we do have passive DNS sensors. We do cooperate with other organizations. For example, we cooperate with Farside Security. Farside Security have like 500 sensors all over the globe. As well with that, they have agreement with university networks, with the big ISPs to collect just queries, anonymized queries, because every single DNS resolver is acting as a proxy. So we don't know who, but we do see that there is a query. And with that, we can learn that there is new domain name. And then you just simply put in database and look for nullities and usage of that.
So you have sensors with all the great registrars.
We do actually work as well with registrars. We obviously, as a vendor, we are having like spamming sensors as well. So we are lurking this information in many places. It's not just the passive DNS detection. It's as well, obviously, we do sell products. And those products are being used by big companies. The data from these big companies, it's known for us. So we can actually observe these new domain names, but actually we do even look for the zone files of big registrars. Because as your colleague in here has said, those attackers will use Cloudflare. And you can easily have a look on Cloudflare every single day what new domain name there is.
That was basically my question, because in order to detect this, you would have to be some sort of, you would have to have some inside information from the registrars.
Yes.
Otherwise, it won't work.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do have that, and we do that. Obviously, Rohu is information that when it's registered is usually publicly known, and all this information you can actually search for. And that is helping us to determine, hey, that is like bulk registration of 5 domain names, and maybe even one is already have been used for a phishing attack. Tomorrow, the second will be used for a phishing attack. Day after and day after, because again, attackers, being people, being lazy. Every single human person is lazy. And that means that you can actually spot, hey, somebody have registered these 5 domain names, and one of them is already phishing. Well, the rest 4 of them will be phishing in near future. So that's the suspicious. That it's still not malicious, but suspicious.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks. So one last question. I think we have someone here in the middle of the room. Please keep your hands up. Okay.
Does the user...
Could you please stand up so the speaker can see you? Thank you.
What's the performance impact? Having every query interrogated, having it stored and analyzed. Does the user feel any delay in that?
So obviously, in order to protect you, you would have to use our product, and we do have it in a cloud service or on-premise service. If it's on-premise service, that's performance impact is usually measured by how much performance you have. In the cloud service, there will be some delay, but we are talking about units of milliseconds. So if you have a look and do statistics on how much delays you have on a DNS traffic for big resolvers like Google, Cloudflare, or us, you will see that it's roughly similar. By the way, this was a little bit of tip of iceberg. What we do in the background, if you are using our resolver is doing analytics on every single query because it's trying to look for tunneling information, the technique that you are putting additional information into the query. That you are encoding, for example, you want to exfiltrate data, you can encode the data into the query and just simply ask. And that's a technique that we are detecting by algorithm. And again, it's real-time algorithm, and the delay that we are talking here about is like milliseconds.
Okay, so it's inaccessible.
Sorry, I can't hear.
Okay, so the user can't actually, they can see it. Okay.
Users usually cannot see that because, quite a big companies are using our solution. We are quite known for that. That is a fact. And none of my customers that I have been talking to have reported me back that I see some slow responses from DNS, aka their users would be angry because internet will be slow. I don't hear that for a long time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.